Drew here, Frisco Tennis Stringing. A question I get asked from time to time is it possible to reduce a grip size? And the answer is yes. Some companies it's a little bit easier than others, but it is something we do offer. And I was just going to go through the process of how we reduce a grip size. Today's case, we're going to do a head racket. We're going to use a head pallet. We're going to go from a 3/8 to a 1/4 grip size. So we have a 1/4 pallet we're going to put on. Head's a little bit unique in that way that they use pallets, and I'll show you how we're going to pop those out and put on the smaller 1/4 pallet. And we have a new butt cap that's going to correspond. It's a 1/4 butt cap as opposed to the one that's on here, which is a 3/8 butt cap. So this is something we offer to reduce the grip size. You will need a pallet once you remove the old pallet, or for other brands like Babolat and Wilson, they use a foam pallet system where you basically need to heat that up and cut it out. But today we're going to replace the head pallet and go from a 3/8 to 1/4 grip. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is remove the over grips and the grips. Pretty straightforward process. We're not going to reuse those grips, so we can throw them away, and we can remove any of the tape that was left over. We're going to just make it a lot easier to work with. So now we should just have the butt cap and the pallet. And now we need to first remove the staples on the butt cap. I usually use a heat gun to make it a little bit more malleable, a little bit easier to work with. To be honest, I've always found this pretty difficult. So I've seen some stringers able to pop them out pretty quick, but I use a small awl or sometimes a very small screwdriver to wedge underneath those staples and pop them out. The good news is I'm not reusing this butt cap or pallet, so I can be a little more rough with it as we're working those staples out. So not a big deal just to pop those out. And once we get all of these staples out, it's going to be pretty straightforward process. Just want to remove that butt cap. We're going to end up throwing that away. And even though those pallets, as you can see where I had to press on it to remove the butt cap, that's fine because we're going to remove that pallet right now. And use a heat gun to make it more pliable, box cutters to make it a little bit easier. And we just use a small awl or a flathead screwdriver to pop these pallets out. Underneath it is what's called a hairpin or a metal hairpin. So these should pop out. Sometimes they come out in one piece. Sometimes it's a little bit harder. As you can see here, we have the hairpin. And now with the hairpin, we want to line up these pallets. So we have the 1/4 pallet. It's going to be a little bit long, so I usually use just a hacksaw to trim the ends a little bit. And the top should line up, the bottom ideally lined up, but use a hacksaw to kind of trim it up. Here we use double-sided tape. We're about to put on the 1/4 pallet over the double-sided tape. It's going to help it adhere a little bit better. So now we've trimmed the end of it. We want to line up the top as best we can. The end should be pretty well lined up. If not, it's not the end of the world, but as best we can. But the top needs to be lined up like a grip. So, and over that hairpin, there should be just a little room for daylight, and we're going to use clamps to make sure it stays in place. I usually keep the clamps on for a few hours to make sure that pallet is nice and on there. And now we need to just staple our butt cap. I usually do a couple of turns of masking tape to prevent any squeaking with that butt cap. I feel like that can be an issue if you just put the butt cap straight on, so some masking tape can help. Now we want to make sure the butt cap is facing the correct way that goes along with the brand. So head, it would be facing up. And now we can just go along and put in our 4 staples. I use a staple gun. I know some people have a handheld one. I use an electronic one, not with like an arrows, but just electronic staple. And I put in 4 staples on opposite sides of each other. And we have this butt cap in nice and flush along with the 1/4 pallet. So this racket is ready to use. All right, so I have the butt cap stapled and we are ready to use this racket. It is now playing like a 4 1/4 racket, 4 1/4 grip size, I should say. I'm gonna put on a new grip. This is the Head Hydrozo Pro, which I think is what it comes with. So you can reuse the old grip, but I recommend always just starting with a new grip since you're replacing everything. And we will have a racket playing at 4 1/4. So as you can see, it is something that we offer. It's something that takes some tools, but it is pretty straightforward. Just takes a little bit of time to remove the old pallet. And other companies, like just off the top of my head, Wilson and Babolat, they use foam pallets. But there is a way, if you heat up the foam pallets, you can cut that out and then put on a new pallet system. I use WD strings is who I order the pallets from. So pretty much anything there that they offer, we can replace the pallet. But usually the TK82 and 82S, which is what I think Head's new one, seems to be the bulk of a lot of the pallets we've been doing. So I hope you found this video useful. I hope to talk soon.